overhead so we can have a quick look at them. Let me just get rid of that mouse. So this is sunflower pouch, and although what you get in the pattern are the templates and everything to do EPP, okay? This particular design on here hasn't been done with English paper piecing because I wanted to, thanks Kath, thank you Dawn, I wanted to do variations, okay? So this is why I've got my sashiko machine out, because this is interpreting hand stitching, but of like a running stitch, like sashiko in a way. So that's what we're going to make tonight. This is what it looks like in the flesh, so let's have a quick look at it. Sorry I'm a bit far away, but I'm not going to alter it now. So you have a full sunflower on the design. I think it looks fabulous. This is like a chambray denim, so it's nice and soft. You've got to be careful of your layers, and we'll talk about it as we go through. It's got a magnetic clasp there. You could use a popper, you could use a button and buttonhole. You can put whatever clasp you like, what you feel comfortable with. A popper is always good. Then you open it up and you've got like almost like a card pouch in here. Let me see if I can get my hand in there. Sometimes it's best to turn these things inside out, but you've got two sort of sets of card pouches here. Now if you were to take this to a workshop, this is where you could store your machine needles and maybe some thread, I nearly said hand knitting needles, hand sewing needles, and maybe some notions and bits and bobs. So the idea is that it's kind of multi-purpose, that it could be made into the most beautiful bag for a wedding or an occasion. And then it's got the one big pocket there. Okay, I've done a second version which has two pockets, and we'll talk about that as we go along, and I'll show it to you in a sec. But this has it's almost like a wallet in a way. I wanted to add an extra feature, so it has these sort of card, it's like a card pocket, that's what I've called it. So you can use it, put it in your bag, in your shopping bag. It's quite a nice size. You can see by the size of it, it's a nice size, but it would make the most amazing bag for a wedding. All you need to do is add some hardware, okay? And this has been stitched almost like a plique, except it's not raw edge. It's done in almost like we're going to make EPP and then we don't. I'll show it to you as you go along. So yeah, so it's actually more than what it looks from the outside. It's got those card pockets that you can decide what you want to use it for, and you could put a couple of those in there if you wanted to, and then you've got this one big pocket. In the other version, which I made last week, which is the most gorgeous African wax fabric. I haven't put a popper on this yet because I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do with it. Look at that lining, oh my gosh. So it's got two pockets, do you see? So it's got the same wallet effect here. So the cards, I've used the same fabric as the lining, so not so easy to see, but I'm sure you can. So your cards, your needles and pins, your sweets, bus ticket, library card, I don't know, all the things that you might want to keep in there. This could be for your EPP, and so therefore you could put templates in there. So, you know, it's a kind of multi-purpose thing. And then it's got the two pockets, okay? It's got the two pockets. And I'm going to show you, I'm not going to show you, I'm going to, as I get to it, because I'll always like to make the pattern rather than the variations of, I'll tell you when we get to the point of when you add this second pocket, okay? And perhaps how much less of depth you would need with your fabric, okay? I'm not going to give measurements out because it's a paid for pattern, it's not a free pattern, so I'm afraid you'll have to bear with me when I talk about you know, mark here, mark there. If you've got the pattern, you'll know exactly where to mark, okay? So like I say, you've got a double pocket with this version, and you've still got the card pockets in there as well. So I think it's quite a versatile little pattern actually. And then, like I say, you could add your hardware and make it into a beautiful bag for a wedding. It would be absolutely gorgeous. So that is the sunflower pouch, and that, I can't remember the price of it now. it's not a full-size pattern, so it's a much more affordable pattern, this one. But of course you could use your loyalty points. So if you want to get a pound off if you got 30 points, or 10% off if you got 20 points, then you can. That's what it's there for. So well done if you do. So that's the second variation. I'll leave that there so you can have a quick squint at it while I rearrange my desk. The other pattern that kind of complements it is sunflower bunches, and all it meant was that there was a bunch of them, basically. So we've got 4 sunflowers in a kind of patchwork design there. So, well, it's a full patch. Bit of a tiny little border there, and then a bigger border, and obviously you've got the binding on there. And you've also got some quilting, and when I quilted this I used my box corner template, which of course I haven't got anywhere near me at the minute, but that's what I used, and it's actually, there's a picture in the pattern of how I used it. So if we actually have a look at the actual thing, so I shall get it in the right order, because I did these all in the right order. I just move my you're not going to be able to see it all on screen, but I'm going to show you. I can hold it up in the front in a sec so you can see it. So this is number 1. Okay, this is number 1 sunflower, and that is all EPP. So all of this has been hand stitched together. This circle has been hand stitched on, and then this has been, the sunflower itself has been hand stitched onto my block. Sorry, it's got a couple of bits on now. It's been around for a few weeks now, and you can see the quilting. So you can see that I've done just like chevron-y type effect, but I've used my new box corner template. I'm still trying to find it, and as I say, of course I haven't got it. But you can see the effect of it, and I thought that was enough. With this one is applique, so I've used Bonder web on the back of these, and they've been satin stitched all the way down, satin stitched around. This is raw edge, so you can use the template that you would use to wrap your fabric round with. Okay, that size. Then you can use this to cut out your fabrics. Bonder web your fabric, draw round, cut them out. Okay, it's as easy as that. And you're satin stitching all the way around here, and then once all of that is done, you're going to go around here. I mean, you could do that first, then the circle, or then that. So that is all 100% machined. Okay, so you've got the juxtaposition, if you like, of hand stitching, machine stitching, which is fantastic, because if you don't do that, you can do that. I've used a satin stitch because it's raw edge, but you could do free motion, you could do blanket stitch, Nicola, you can do anything you like. Okay, so if I flip it over and we see the second half, I'm afraid I caught that slightly when I was quilting, which is jolly nuisance. This one is, let's just say we're doing EPP and we've turned our fabric over on our papers, and all the pictures are in the pattern. So this, it is a plique, but the pieces are not raw edged. They are all folded over and very, very neat. But I've used a stitch, I always call it a railroad stitch, where it goes from one side to the other, and so doing, kind of bringing the pieces together. And then obviously I've done the circle, and then obviously I've gone around the outside with the same stitch, but you could use other stitches. I mean, I could come in a bit closer so you can see that if you like. Double-edged blanket stitch even. Yes, absolutely, Nicola. So that's a different variation where you've actually got a folded edge, so it's very, very neat. It's almost like you've needle turned, but we haven't because we've used the sewing machine. So again, it is 100% machine stitch, but it's a different variation of the one before with a satin stitch. With this one, this is interesting because this is a bit of both. So we've EPP'd, if you like, these templates around here. So these shapes here, these petals I should say, they have all been hand stitched together all the way around. So if you do like a little bit of hand stitching, then perhaps this is the one that you could do. And then I've used my gold thread, of course, and I've literally just stitched it down. I'll zoom in a sec, and then I've stitched the circle down. Now what you could do with the circles is slightly puff them out with a little bit of wadding or stuffing, and you could make them you know, stand proud, if a bit like Travanto, I suppose. And you could cross hatch. There's so many things you could do with this pattern. It's unbelievable. So you could cross hatch all of those. So let me zoom in, and oh, I've got poorly arms, so it might take me a while. Whoop. Let's see. Sorry, that's very zoomy. So you can see now a little bit clearer that there's the sort of stitches that I've used to put these shapes, the petals, down with. Okay, with this one you can see the hand stitching between each one here, and then you can see my gold thread going around the outside and the gold thread going around the circle. With this one, this is the satin stitch. I am a bit zoomed in. Use the satin stitch. So this is raw edge applique with Bondaweb. Okay, it's the only one where we've used Bondaweb, although I have got a bit of a trick for you for the pouch that we're going to do in a minute. And then this one is completely hand stitched. So everything you see is hand stitched. These all around there are hand stitched together. The circle is hand stitched down, and then it's hand stitched onto your full block. So let me just move you out again. Now the full block, hold on, let's just get you out, isn't, let me just do that a bit more, isn't complicated, and I haven't gone into great details about it because I'm rather hoping you know how to put full squares together. And in the pattern it does show you what the block looks like. It's just literally 4 patches. I'm not going to give you any measurements to make that block, and then you're applying the sunflower on top of it. Okay, so I mean, you could make a whole quilt like this if you wanted to. And then you've got the small border going around the outside, and then you've got the larger border there. Picking out one of your background colours. Which one is it? I think it's that one. And then I've done a stripy border to kind of bring the whole thing together. So I think it works. I think it works, and I think it's about 24 inches thereabouts square. So it could go on your dining room table, it could go on the table outside, perhaps to have your coffee on in the morning. That would be amazing. It could just be on a seat. It could just put it on a seat, so you've got a gorgeous little quilt to sit on. The back is just, you know, random fabrics, whatever you've got that works. I thought it might work. I'm not sure it does, but hey ho. Or you can have it as a little wall hanging in your kitchen or the hallway or the downstairs loo, wherever you fancy. But there's so many different techniques to it. That's the thing. But you could, if you wanted to make all 4 as we've done, you can make them all like this, or 4 like this, or 4 like this, or 4 like that. Okay, so there are no rules. It's what you fancy, what you like to do. You know, the world's your oyster, and that's how I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be that you could choose how you wanted to actually to work. Let me just see if I can get the front camera working again. It's all a bit hit and miss today, and I'm drooping. My scarf's drooping. Anyway, so that is the gorgeous little quilt. So as I say, it's not massive, and that wasn't ever meant to be, but I think you'll have a little bit of fun with that. I hope so. All those different techniques that I've explained, and of course they'll run along nicely into what Kath's doing, and you may well have picked up a skill in between times that when you get to Kath and doing what she does, because I know what she's doing, you may need to know a few bits. You'll be pros, and you'll be able to whiz up the patterns that Kath's going to create for us. So there we are. So that's sunflower bunches, just lots of bunches of sunflowers. And we've got the sunflower pouch, which I adore. And as I say, you've got that beautiful sunflower on the back there, and with a little bit of hardware, you're good to go, aren't you? I mean, that can be a really gorgeous purse, if you like, for a bit of an evening when you just need your lippy, and your phone would fit in there easily. Yeah, just get some hardware stuck on that, and see how you go. If you're not sure where, thank you, Shirley. If you're not sure where the hardware goes, I would make a toile. In other words, you make a dummy run with a bit of calico and work out where you want to put the hardware. It's not part of my pattern, so I'm not going to spend my time talking to you about it, but maybe another time I will. And then of course this one has the double pocket. It's hard to see because that fabric is too delicious. And then you've got the card wallet, or for your needles and pins and bits and bobs. You've got the wallet there. You can hardly see it because it's the same fabric, but you have got that double pocket. Right. Now apologies, as I say, for not having the side camera. So I don't know quite. Oh, it's so frustrating. There's no point me trying it again because I know all you'll get is a black screen, which was just not good at all. But I will, I don't know what to suggest. I mean, I could zoom out so you could see the machine working, but it's the Sashiko machine. So it's a bit of a shame. And I don't know why, but there we are. We can't dwell on it. I mean, it's working. The camera is actually working. It's the bit between the camera and the screen. It's gone down. Right, so those are the two patterns. So hop along to the website and help yourself to either of those two, both, one of them. Don't forget Creative Friends get 15% off the bunches pattern, and don't forget to use your loyalty points. I would buy them individually, so when you place an order for one and get your loyalty points, it will be the pouch, and then you place a second order if that's what you want to do for the bunches, and you use your discount code, and that's Creative Friends. Everybody else, I'm afraid, pays full price. Just the way it is. Right, because Creative Friends, I do like to spoil a little bit if I can. Okay, so let's just have a quick look. I'm sorry, I've got to squint at the screen because it's been messed about a bit. Now I'm going to make mine a little bit different to, let me just come in a wee bit. I'm using pastel colours and very, very subtle colours, pinks and blues. I've already created part of the sunflower because it would take quite some time to lay all these down properly and stitch all of these, because this is like hand stitching. If I bring it up to the camera, hold on, let me get it straight. There you go. You can see it's a bit like hand stitching, and that's done on my Sashiko machine. But you could do hand stitching or any of those techniques that I have just talked about. Okay, so you can do your proper EPP if you want to, and we've covered all that. All that is covered in the patterns. You know, 100%. So I'm going to follow the pattern. As I say, I'm not going to give you any measurements. And I think I've said, as a tip, is to forget that it's a sunflower, but just, and I have done, is just to create a flower, whatever colour you like, okay? So just as a for instance, this is the pouch, and you can see that all the techniques for EPP is in there. Right, let me just make sure I'm getting to the right bit. Okay, so the first thing, as I thought, was to put these on the front of the pouch. Now, let me do it sideways, that's it. So when you see the pouch and you get the measurements off the pattern of where to draw your line, because I've asked you to draw a line here. So these here are lined up beautifully. And again, you can see I've done a second line here, where it means I've lined these up beautifully, okay? Because it's important that you get 3 petals per quadrant, okay? So we've got 3 petals to put here. Now, when it comes to the petals, let me just bring them in, because I've got 2 that I need to create for you. I'm just going to switch on my iron. Okay, so what we're aiming for is this little baby, this petal, where we have already used the paper to be able to fold the fabric over and get a lovely crispy finish. Okay, so that's what we're going to create. So I've got 2 of those already done. All right, they need another iron, I do believe, but let's just quickly go through. I'm going to bring my ironing mat in. Let's quickly go through the technique. I'm sure those of you that have done EPP know full well how to do this. You're cutting your fabric a little bit bigger. You've got a pattern. You've got a pattern for both the fabric and the template. So your template looks like that, and your pattern for your fabric cutting looks like that. It's got the dashed line. So if you put that inside that, you can see that it's a 1/4 inch thereabouts bigger than your template. So that's what we're doing now. And the same applies with the circle. Mind you, I cut mine out by hand, you can tell, can't you? There's your template to cut your fabric, and then you've got a template for the inner circle. All right, now I kept that deliberately to do because I didn't know if any of you knew how you could do that. So there is a bit of a technique. I always go across the top there. Now if you need this zoomed in a bit more, please say, because obviously you know I can. That's probably all I can do tonight. And then I do the other side. Oops, missed that completely. And fold over, and the heat of your hands is enough to fold it over, and then you're coming down the side, and I put a little bit of glue, you know, on the fabric here and fold it over. Now I always put my nail there so to make sure I get a decent fold over, and EPP glue is really ideal for this. Now don't forget, we're not hand stitching this, but you can. Absolutely, I've given you all the information to be able to do that. So the choice is yours. The choice is yours. And I mean, how fabulous is that? So there's our little petal. The same goes for this, but what I'm going to do is glue this and iron at the same time. So let's do that. Let's do this one first so we don't get confused. So what I do is I flip it over, I get my iron, and I give it a nice press, and I'm just going to give these a little press at the same time just to tell them that who's boss, as they say. Let's get that folded in. There we are. That looks lovely and crispy. So don't forget to iron because it makes such a huge difference. Okay, but of course we've still got the paper in there. We need the paper out because that's as far as we go with like the EPP. Literally now I can take the paper out. If you were doing traditional EPP, you absolutely wouldn't take paper out. You would be hand stitching, you know, you'll be putting those two together and you'd be hand stitching them together. Now what I've found over the years is that if you get a sharp object, and I always use my stiletto, and run that up to the fold of your fabric, so you're poking this in. It's a pokey tool, that's what it's for. And just run your pokey tool, your stiletto, along there. That lifts up the fabric, so all you can do then is just take the template out. It might stick in the corners because that's called Sod's Law, isn't it? But generally speaking, you won't destroy your little flower, your petal, because you've had to yank out the paper. Okay, so give it a quick iron, another little quick iron there, and that is beautifully done. You do not need to do this end, this little end here, you do not need to turn that over. So now we've got this one. Now let me bring my iron in so I don't have to keep reaching. And I do this a bit at a time. Now I tell you what really helps. It helps if you've best pressed this. So if you've got some spray starch, this is a good time to use it. So I tend to just a little bit of glue. I'm going to just give that a quick iron. You don't need to do this. And you're just doing a wee bit at a time, and you're just folding in. You don't want a pleat. So if you think you've got a pleat coming, try not to get that pleat. And don't forget, we don't need this to be sticking all the way down really well because we're going to give it a quick iron and take the paper out. So a little bit of glue, use the heat of your finger just to press that over. Try not to get any pleats. It's not easy. You'll notice on my flowers, I mean, mind you, I'm always in a rush, that I've got one or two little pointy bits. But you want to try and avoid that. Let me just give that a little bit of glue. Completely missed. There we go. Try again. There we go. So we can just keep laying the glue down in small little bits, because if you do too big, the glue will dry and you won't be able to stick anything. So just keep going around. And if you cut your fabric a wee bit bigger than you should have done, it doesn't matter because it's all going out of sight. So it doesn't matter. Just fold that over. Just a wee bit at a time. Just a wee bit at a time. There we go. Super. Lovely. It's not perfect, but that will do nicely. Then we're going to give it a quick iron, especially where that hasn't glued. Just give that a little tease there. Flip it over and just iron it. I've got a couple of little, I don't know if you can see, tiny little points there which I'm not desperately happy about, but it'll absolutely do for what I want. So again, all I do is get my stiletto and run it underneath. So all that hard work of gluing we're now undoing. But then you do that anyway if you're hand stitching. But all we want is the folded edge. That's all we're interested in. So let's just run the stiletto under there. You've already given your fabric the memory of the iron, of the press. Let's get rid of that. And when it first comes out, it looks a bit raggedy and a bit messy, but flip it over, fold it all under. Just take your time. I'm rushing, of course, and just put that crease back in again, that lovely fold that you did about 2 minutes ago, if that. So just run your iron around. And there'll be other ways that you can do this. You could do a running stitch and do a little gather, bit like a Suffolk puff, if you want to. So there's lots of other ways that you can do this. I've actually switched this off. There we go. I think that'll do. That'll do nicely. Let's just turn that down. Right, so there's my centre to my flower, and I just want to show you, if I bring this in, that when I put this centre down, it covers all of those little raw edges on the ends. Let me just show you how that looks. Okay, and if I take that away, you'll see that it easily covers. Okay, so that's the main thing. And the other thing I meant to say, and I forgot to, is that measurement from there to there is not half. It's a definite measured measurement, and that should go exactly across the top of your bag. So you don't move it about. And remember that that's the front. If you're not sure, then get a heat erasable pen and put a little mark on it. I'll put a little dot, just so I know that that's the front of my bag. I do know, but you know, I'm asking you to think about it. Right, okay, so now we need to actually arrange our petals, and you've got to make sure that you've got this 90-degree angle here, this as vertical as you can get, and this one needs to be as horizontal as you can get. Okay, so that sits like that, and then this one should just slot in. So when you first put them down, they don't want to be meeting in the middle. They don't want to be, you know, you're going to have to work out that you could keep pulling them out until all of these bits here are touching, and then you've got the exact measurement. That I can't, well, I could give you a measurement, but your cutting may be different to mine. And this is all cut. You're just adding that little bit on, so it could be 1/4 of an inch, it could be 1/8 of an inch, because I'm not asking you to fold it over to the paper. So yes, so it could vary from person to person. So there we are. So that's done. That we just need to stitch them down, which I'll do. I've got a little trick for you. You could pin all these, and in the pattern I've shown you to pin because that's the best way to show you. But there is a bit of a trick. If I lift these away and get some hemming tape, which is just a glue piece of what are it called? You know, like Bondaweb, but without the paper. There's a name for it, and I've completely forgotten. A glue web, isn't it? So you're cutting a strip of that, or just tearing it, and you're popping that down onto your bag front. You're bringing your pieces in, line them up again. Take your time with this because you need this to be right. You want these little points here to be as best as you can get them. Okay, I'm not asking for perfection because that doesn't exist, but I want you to be as best as you can. Yeah, so now underneath there we've got glue. Hurrah. Wonder web, is that what it's called, Jackie? I always call it hemming tape. So just pop your iron over it, switch it on. Oh, I'm so mad that we haven't got that side camera, because it's nice to see the Sashiko machine working. And let's try and get that heat. I think that is stuck. You don't need to stick the whole thing, just enough to hold it down, like it's a pin. It's holding it down for you. Okay, so I'm pretty happy that that is now stuck. So which means I can take it to my machine and stitch, and they're not gonna move. They're gonna stay in that position, which is the perfect position for them. Fusible web, yeah, Leslie, that's what it is, isn't it? Fusible web. Right, so let me just move you across. I can't believe that I've got comments. I got comments. The only thing I could do is to zoom out so you can see the needle of my machine, but I'm not sure you're going to see very much because it will be so far zoomed out. Rotten, isn't it? Isn't it rotten? Because we rely on these things. There's no point me testing it. I was going to test it, but there's no point because oh, my mouse is switched off now. Because if it's not working now, it never will be. I'll just quickly do it. Yeah, nothing. Nothing. Perhaps I'll zoom out, shall I? I need to go around the front and zoom out the camera. I'll bring my Sashiko machine up and see how far I need to zoom out. That's as best as I can do. I'm so sorry about that. So let's just get the machine up. It's so heavy, so heavy. It's not too bad. So if I'll leave it there, and then let's just make sure I've got one. And I'm going to zoom out so you can just see the machine. I'm going to be very loud because I'm right near the microphone. I'm just going to zoom out there. Goodness knows what you're going to see on my shelves. Ooh, ooh. Oh, that's as far as it will go. So I'll bring my machine a little bit further towards me. Yeah, that is as far as it will go. Right. You can't see the blooming thing, can you? Unless I raise it up on a book. Hold on, wait a minute. Crikey, move the whole thing. You're still not going to see much, are you? Oh well, you'll see the machine working. And this machine, this Sashiko machine, is so temperamental, so you'll see if it goes wrong as well. Right, it's ready to stitch, so we'll see how we go. I'm so sorry about it not having the side camera, it's such a nuisance. Get the right foot in, but I'll show you on the overhead when we're done. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. Right, let's see how we get on. So if you've got a Sashiko machine, I've got the stitch length on 4 and the gap is on 4. It makes sense when you see it. And of course what you'll do is you'll get a stitch on your machine that you adore. It could just be a straight stitch. Oh, there we are. I knew it'd mess up, because it does. Yeah, you might have a decorative stitch that you love and you want to use that. Please do. Please do. When I stitched my quilt, it went round the whole thing perfectly. And I thought, surely not. Because, and I don't know why, I think sometimes it prefers a thicker thread. And I've just got a regular thread on it. So, I don't think it likes it very much. Oh, now it's completely messed up. So bear with. Let's just bear with. If it really plays up, I'll just go onto my machine, because it's one of those machines, and I know somebody who has quilted a whole quilt using the Sashiko machine, and you know I love it. You know I love it. But it plays you up. It plays me up. But as I say, I think it's got something to do with the fact that it's, let me just see if I can get that thread up. Oh gosh, I might just revert to the machine. See if I can do it this way. No, hold on, bear with, caller, bear with. See if we can do it. If not, I'll just machine it. It's only for me, so it matters not. But you know, you like to have it right, don't you? Right, let's see. Put it through the right way. It has a very funny, weird two-hole kind of, hold on, a two-hole sort of, what would you call it? I don't know what you'd call it. Gear, that they have to be threaded absolutely correctly. Absolutely correctly, otherwise you absolutely cannot stitch with it. Well, it doesn't like me today anyway, so. Right, let's see if we can get this to work now. Yep. Through there. And you might say, you know, this is such a lot of money, this machine. And you think, why would you have such a temperamental machine? But when it works beautifully. And you're sitting there thinking, well, I can't see a blooming thing anyway, so I don't know what she's talking about. Right, so let's see where we left off and see if we can carry on. Here we go, let's see. So on the back of the work, it's just a regular stitch. You wouldn't know. On the front, it does the most amazing straight stitch. And it's not an imitation. I know a lot of machines can do something very similar, but not like this. But you might have more luck. Now, come on, little machine. You've only got 2 petals to do now. Let's just get it done. Yeah, so you could do your blanket stitch around this. You don't have to use this type of technique. It's just that I do like it. But you might want to do like the kind of ladder stitch that I talked about, or even a satin stitch. I mean, a satin stitch is quite heavy. And got the thread there. So I was trying to avoid doing a satin stitch on the bag because it's a little bit heavy, and you could use something like a satin or a silk to actually make the bag with. That would be awesome. Some of the beautiful Japanese fabrics with the foiling on would look amazing. Come on, little machine, we've just got one little bit to do. Oh, can you believe it? Right, let's see. Come on, little machine. Do you think if I speak nicely to it? Let's try it again. There we go. Yeah, it's fine, see? Nothing wrong with it. We've just got we've got 2 inches to stitch. Right, 2 inches. That's it. I'm not sure it's picking up the thread. It's not, so let's just... Right, I'm going to leave it where it is because we will be here all night, otherwise I'm going to have to hand stitch that finished. So let's just get you on the overhead. Let's just see if I can find that. Here we go. So apart from that little bit that I couldn't finish, but you see, I persevere with this because I love it so much. But when you look at it, let's get it in, it just wouldn't do this last little bit, look. So I shall do that by hand later. But look at that lovely stitching that it does. When it does behave, it's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to revert to my machine because we need to stitch the circle on. Now the same technique applies if you want it to, is to get a piece of Wonder Web hemming tape, and pop that in the centre, because that will really hold your circle in place. Of course you could use a pin, of course you can. You could even put perhaps some Wonder Web on the back of this, and you know, get it so it's fully stuck down. Okay, so I'm just finding the centre and then just folding it over. So while that's down, I'll just find my bits of Bondaweb, which here, there we go. I'll just pop that down there, just eyeball it. There we go. And I'm going to lightly press that down. So all I want to do really is glue it, because if there's another little piece somewhere. It's completely invisible. Let's get that little bit, that'll do. And then we'll just pop it that side. And then that holds it down. And as I go round the circle, I'll make sure that's a little bit neater. There we go. And I'll just stitch that down. Right, there we go. So I'm going to now stitch this circle down with just an ordinary straight stitch. So I'll bring my machine in. Again, we're a little stuck. See, this is what happens when you're used to certain things and we don't have all the certain things, which is such a shame. So front camera, you're not going to see a darn thing. Okay, let's keep it on the overhead. Oh, what a shame, what a shame, what a shame. So I'm just going to put it under machine. I'm just going to do a nice straight stitch all the way around. I'd have been better off on my phone today, wouldn't I? There we go. So let's just pop it down. Let's increase the stitch to 3. Now, even though it's a circle, a smaller stitch is actually better sometimes. But I'm going to up it to a 3. I wonder if there's a way of me lifting this machine up. Just one momento. Let's move my Sashiko machine out of the way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Let's see if we can lift it up. Bear with everybody. I wish I tested it out earlier, because then, now, I've lifted it right up. Let's see if you see it from the front now. Front. Not bad. It's on a box. I'm like this now. Right, so let's just go around. I'm going to use my stiletto just to help me. Honestly, I'm going to shut up about it now. It gets a bit boring. But we all rely on it. That's the trouble. We think, oh yeah, that'll be fine. And when it lets you down, it's like, oh. Because I like you all to see as much as you can, okay? But all I'm doing is stitching the circle down. Probably best far away anyway. I've had a heavy weekend. Because you know we were at the West Norfolk Textile Fair. Oh, it's good fun. And I met all my lovely friends. Had a really good chat with Tilly Rose, which very rare do I get that opportunity. Because if I go to wherever because she's sometimes she's a local, she does exhibit local to me, and if I go, I mean, she's just surrounded by people all the time, quite right too. But it's just like we wave to each other, and we've been mates for, oh, I don't know how long, 10 or 12 years maybe, quite a long time. So let me just pull that out of the way. Oh, Kath said it's not a bad view at all. I don't know. Let's see if I can get this. Right, so there we are. So I've stitched I could do that on the machine now, couldn't I, just quickly. So I stitched my centre circle on. So let's try and get this done. My goodness me, we've waffled on and waffled on. Now, on the card wallet part, we want the lining. This is the lining. We want the right side facing of the lining. And this is I'm not going to give you any measurements, but this is the piece that you create, okay? and it's concertinaed, and there's measurements in the pattern to tell you what those measurements are to get that correct concertina look. And the first thing we're going to do is when you've folded it, and it tells you in the pattern where to fold. Okay, you draw lines on the back of your work, and it tells you how to fold it. And as long as you get it looking like that, where you've got two pockets, then you're right. You've got a measurement from bottom to here, which is a special measurement. It's not in the middle. And I've put top and bottom, so I know that's correct, because they are different. And that folded line goes along that line that I've drawn. Now, if you draw a line and you do it in heat erasable pen or something like that, please, please, please check to make sure that your pen irons out. Okay, I don't want you to be sort of gung-ho about that and think, oh yeah, heat erasable, that'll be fine. It sometimes isn't. So just be warned about that. Clip it so it's sitting straight. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to lift up this bottom part and this next part, and you will, if you've drawn correctly, you'll have drawn a line along here with the measurements that I've told you, and we're going to stitch that down, and that secures the bottom of that pocket. Okay, so I'm going to do that now, and I might as well keep you, well no, I'll change it so we have a different view. Just bear with. Let me just find my mouse. And I'll bring my box in. Oh dear, there we go. Just about see. It's practically off the edge of my table. So I'm just going to stitch that bottom seam down. As I say, in the pattern it shows you very clearly where you're stitching and how to fold and what the measurements are for the fold. So nothing is left to chance, it's all on there for you, okay? Ooh, the clip just snapped in half, never had that before. So if we look at it from the front, all I've done is stitched, hold on, under here, I've stitched that bit there to make sure that the bottom of the pocket is secure. So let's have a quick look on the overhead so you can see it. Let's move that back out again, here we go. So all I've done, let's get another clip, is I have lined the fold, the top of the card pocket fold on that line. So I've got a little red line under there that I've drawn, and that folded line is parallel on top of that. This bottom edge, so we've stitched under there, we've stitched this bit, that just gets laid on top. This one gets folded under, and then again there's another measurement to tell you what that is, and we're going to stitch along here. We're going to top stitch along here, up the middle, and you can see I've marked it, down and then across and up to secure this part of your card pocket. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. So let's go back to the front. We're very back to front today. Let me just get rid of some of this stuff, get you in. I do apologise. I know it's boring, I'm not going to say it anymore. Right, so needle down. So we're going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch along that side, the first little side seam. I'm going to use my stiletto to make sure that's sitting absolutely dead straight. Coming down to the bottom, and on that bottom seam I folded under. The measurement is in the pattern, and then I'm just going to machine across. I'm going to come up the middle, let's get that pin out of the way, up the middle to the top. I'm doing a stitch, it's kind of just over the top of the fold of the pocket. I'll show you when I've done it. Come down on the same seam if you can, if not it doesn't matter if you do like a tram line, and then we're going along the bottom and you're just top stitching, dead easy, dead easy. I think sometimes these things feel more intimidating until you've done it. Talking of which, the ladies we had workshops this weekend, and the ladies that did the Biscornu pincushion, when they first saw it they thought, oh no, Oh no, I don't think so. Even though they knew what they'd booked up for. And by the time they're done, they all finished it, which I was absolutely amazed that they did, because it's the last little bit that's a little bit tricky, and of course everybody has different abilities and, you know, how they feel about stuff, and they did worry, but they all finished it, and they looked amazing. Oh my gosh, I was so proud of them. I really was. It was super. Right, so we've attached the card pocket now, so that's all looking gorgeous, isn't it? We've created our front, so that's the front of our pouch, and we're going to now attach the pocket. So let me just check my pattern. Here we go. Yeah, I'm thinking, what do I do next? So on the let's have a look. Opposite end, yeah. Okay, so the pocket is going to be attached on this end. So this end is the front. Look, we did a little red dot, so we know that's the front. So the pocket gets attached here. Okay, so this is our pocket. It just gets folded in half like that, and you can iron it. Give it a crease. Give it a crease. Now, if you were to do a second pocket, this is when you would do it. And you would do your second pocket first, and I wouldn't interface them, because otherwise you're going to end up with a lot of layers. So I wouldn't interface. Well, depending on your machine, if you've got an industrial machine, do it, but it's quite a significant amount of layers. Okay, so if you make a smaller one, so let's say take an inch off the measurements of your front pocket here, and that goes on first. Okay, which sounds a bit odd. So your smaller pocket will go on first, and it will sit down here. Your main pocket goes on top and sits like that. Okay, so it just lays on top, but your little pocket would go underneath. If you don't do it that way, well, you'll still have a pocket, but it will be in the wrong place. So we're just going to clip that, and I'm going to just make sure I follow the pattern. And we need now to put the two pieces together. So don't forget, this is the front. Just check I get this right. So that's that. So the card wallet part goes on top of your pocket that you've just placed on there. So there's your card wallet part, and that goes there. Okay, and this is the bottom of your bag here. So make sure that your card pocket, you can put your fingers in there. And this is the like the flap of the bag here. So we're just going to round off the top corners here. So this is the bottom, this is the top. So keep remembering that. That's why I put a little dot there. And this sunflower sits further along this way. Okay, and it says in the pattern. I'm not just sort of guessing it. That's what it says in the pattern. And then you need a heat erasable pen and something that you can draw a curve with, and you're going to draw your curve, and then you're going to cut it. I'm using, I think this is what is this, a 1.5 inch it says here. So if you've got one of these rulers, it's very handy. Okay, so we're just rounding off these two ends here. Again, if you're not sure you've got this the right way around, keep checking. Yes, that's going to be the front. And then you're going to cut. So let's find some scissors here. So we're not far off finishing now. And then just hold all your fabrics together. Obviously you can pin these fabrics together, you can clip them together. So you're cutting the same, but you're just going to follow your machine around basically. Okay, so we've curved the top. So if I put it as I had it in the pattern, it's like that in the pattern. So you can see that this is where the wallet is, the card pocket. Let me just bring that down here, and there's sunflower there and the pocket there. Okay, there's a definite layering going on there that you need to be aware of. And then we just put a couple of clips in just to hold. Make sure it's all lined up. And all we're going to do now is stitch from here let's do it sideways so you can see. From here, this bottom, so you're ignoring this, you're going from here, back stitch, all the way around, finish there, back stitch, okay? So let's just get you in the right position again on the front. I'm ranting. At least you can see the needle. You can see the machine, can't you? It's on the box. Oh dear me. Reminds me of my days on working on TV, and you always had to stand to stitch, and it was a bit like this. It was like so awkward. Right, let's get rid of the clips. So we're just going all the way round. So this is where, if you had lots of layers, especially going through the card pocket, because that, if you think about it, the amount of layers you've got there, all the way around. Now you might find a walking foot really good for this, because you've got a lot of layers. I just want to make sure I'm not going to miss the edge here. Let's just go around, carefully around the corners. Okay, on the top. Take the clip out. If you use pins, make sure you take those pins out. And when you've stitched this, you're going to just clip into those curves, or get your pinking shears on them. So a little back stitch to finish. There we go. And so we've gone all the way around, just checking to make sure I've caught everything, which I have. So we've gone from here, let's say, all the way around to here with a little back stitch. So let's just move this out the way. Right, let me just get the overhead again. Okay, good, excellent, excellent. So you get your pinking shears, might as well. And just go into those curves and take some of that bulk away. I wouldn't worry about going all the way around. I mean, you can, of course you can, but it doesn't really need it. Just the curves, really. Okay, so the next part is the interesting bit, because like all my patterns, sometimes there's a little bit of a quirk to them. Okay, so you're going to put your hand in there. Okay, you're going to put your hand in there, you're going to turn it through. Let's do that. So that's the first stage done. And when you first do that, you think, oh, okay, well, I've got that, that's great. I've got that. That doesn't seem right, because the pocket should be on here. That's all looking a bit weird. But actually what you're going to do is that you're going to, in fact, I'm pretty sure that's the wrong way around. That is the wrong way around. Let me just do that. That's called Sod's Law. So that's how it would look when you turn it through. Okay. You want the pocket like that. So you want the pocket sitting on top of your sunflower. And when you look at the pattern, that's how it looks. So let me just show you the pattern. You want to see half the sunflower, and the card wallet part is on the back here, okay? So you think to yourself, okay, well, I've got all these raw edges, the pocket's on the wrong part. So what we're going to do is that we're going to zigzag all the way along here to neaten this. If you've got an overlocker, this is where you get your overlocker out and you whiz along there, okay? And we're going to stitch all of that together to make a really nice, neat edge. So let's just get on the front camera again. Do you know, I've made a few of these, and that's the first time the pocket has ended up theoretically on the right side, but we don't want it like that. You want it so you've got half the sunflower. So I just put my zigzag on, because then you think, well, none of that, it looks right. This is all looking terrible. I've got raw edges, I've got the pocket on the wrong side. This is not good. So just spend a minute. Overlock is your friend. Zigzag is fine. such a sweet mate. We're motorhoming at the weekend. Hopefully the weather will stay nice. And I'm going to take this with me because it's so pretty. Okay, so let's move you again. That's back and forth, back and forth. So this is what we've got. Let's just move that out of the way. So what you can do is just get your scissors in there and trim all this little frayed bits away, or little frayed fabrics, because you don't really want that, because that's going to be tucked right inside your bag. But just for aesthetics, it's nice to trim all that off. So that's now zigzagged along the top there, or the bottom there, can you see? So now with it looking like that, you think, well, this is still not right. Look, this is not right. But what you're going to do is you're going to take those corners, you're going to push it through like that. And if you want to get a lovely, what are they called? Chopsticks, or a lovely soft ended pokey tool, something like this, where it's not got a sharp edge, and you're just going to push those corners out. Now I wouldn't go crazy, I would leave them a little bit rounded. You've got a lot of layers going on there. You can trim some of that away, but if you trim, you're weakening the seam, or you're weakening that corner. And there you have it. That is now finished. So you can see your card pocket inside, where you can put your cards, your pins and needles, your sweets, your bus pass, library ticket, whatever you want to use. And on the front, we just flip it over. Obviously it needs a press. We flip it over. There's my little red dot, so we know that's right. And your petals sit perfectly on the top ridge of the bag. Okay, so that is now a finished pouch. And if we want to, let's just come in just a wee bit. Oh, my arm. So you can see it a bit better. Wrong way. Oh, even closer. There we go. So that is now a finished pouch, and you've got the most gorgeous piece of flower there. Half a flower. You've got a full flower. That could all be done in silks and embroidery. I think that would look amazing. It's got a plain back with that, well, with half the sunflower on, or flower. We're calling it a flower now. If we open it up, obviously you're going to put a popper in there. When you open it up, you've got the ability to store, maybe you could put your notes in there, a little bit of cash if you wanted to. Maybe you've got an invitation that could go in there, but then you've got that really lovely big deep pocket, and right down deep inside you've got that neatened seam. So it's all very, very neat and very, very easy. You could top stitch this if you wanted to. I didn't with mine. Where did I put it? There we go. I didn't with mine. I didn't want to, I thought I'd done enough. I thought that was enough with the gorgeous stitching, but of course you could top stitch that if you wanted to. Put a little magnetic clasp in there, or a snap fastener is fine. You could even do just do a button on the outside and an ordinary snap fastener here, so all you're seeing is a beautiful button. But there we are. So you've got two versions, well, three versions, because we've done a double pocket. Just remember that that smaller pocket goes on first, and then you put the big pocket on, okay? And like I say, look at that, it's absolutely gorgeous. Really good press. I'll press it tomorrow. I'll do another little picture, but I think what we've got there is something really splendid. Did I use fat quarters? I think D, in the pattern, it does say fat quarters, yeah. I mean, I've said complementary fabrics, but I think fat quarter is fine, knowing the measurements in my head. It's absolutely fine. And I like to use assortments. This is all from the same range. It's Lewis and Irene. And all of this is from there. And I think because they were made to go together, so it's perfect for my little pattern. And it's not directional fabric. Even though the beehives are upside down here, they're right way round here, which I was thrilled about. And they got little bees on, look. Little bees. Yeah, so that's a Lewis and Irene. And actually I got this from the Townhouse Fabrics. So if you know them, then you can get that same fabrics from there. Needs a good press, which I shall do. But there we are, we've got the most perfect little bag. beautiful little bag, and of course don't forget we've got the complimentary quilt that goes with it. So let's just get that on the front. I'm really far away now. Look at my beautiful, I need to rearrange it. There we are. And you've got the beautiful little quilt to make as well if you want to. You've seen all the techniques, I've shown you how to do that. We can do, and I'm sure actually when Kath does her live and in a couple of weeks time, she will cover a lot of techniques as well. So there we are, 2 lovely pouches. We've got a third one down here, made with African wax fabric, which has the double pocket. So the choice is yours. Great pattern for a great price, truly. I think that is absolutely gorgeous. It's so subtle, it's so pastel-y, beautiful. I feel very a long way away. Right. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry we've sort of gone a little bit longer than we normally do, but hey, I don't mind, and I'm sure you don't. But thanks for joining me. It's been an absolute blast. I'm going to try and be live in my Creative Friends group on Thursday, and then don't forget on Friday I start the workshop for Linden, where we do all the cutting out and all the basics to start off that 3 evening workshop. That starts Friday. And then I'm speaking to Kath tomorrow about scheduling in more lives in the month. I need to do, as I say, one in my Creative Friends. I need to do another one here. Kath's the same. So we'll be filling your sitting rooms with stitchy delights over the next 4 weeks. Right, well, thank you very much. Oh, Eileen says she's had some happy posts today. Oh, that's good. We always like a bit of happy posting. Right, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for participating. Go and buy the pattern if you absolutely love it like I do. Go, have a little go with some of those techniques. I think you'll find it really fun. And I'll see you, I'll see my Creative Friends on Thursday. I'll see my workshop people on Friday. And I might see you all again in about 2 weeks' time. Bye, everybody. Bye.